UFC 291, Poirier versus Gaethje 2, full card betting breakdown. As usual, if you want all of my bets, check the link down below in the description or go on Instagram and check the top link in my bio. But these are just suggestions. These are just what I think about every single one of these fights. These are not my official bets for every single one of these fights. We're going to start from the bottom, make our way to the main event, which is a banger in Dustin the Diamond Poirier and Justin Gaethje. So as usual, if you want to skip ahead, you can go right on ahead and do so. First fight of the night, Miranda Maverick and Priscilla Cachoeira. You're getting minus 270 on Miranda Maverick's money line, which I do believe is parlayable at the moment. I think these are going to be the best odds you're going to get, because in the next few days, I do believe she is going to get parlayed a lot. And all of these good juicy odds, minus 270, are going to be gone. Again, it is women's MMA, so don't put your mortgage on it. But I do believe Miranda Maverick will be a good parlay piece. If we go lower on to here, fight goes to a decision is at plus 105 and plus 110. On some of the other bookies, Miranda is not really known for her finishes inside of the UFC. She got the doctor stoppage on Liana Jojua, Jillian Robertson decision win, and the Shayna Young decision win. And she's never been finished inside of the UFC, but she does have 2 of those finishes. So out of her, what is that? 3, 6 fights, 7 fights inside of the UFC, only 2 of them ended by a finish. So I'm going to say it right now, I think there's value on the Miranda Maverick by a decision right there. And if there is a chance Priscilla is able to defend those takedowns, she's not going to be able to finish the fight, in my opinion. Miranda is a very, very tough girl to finish. So I do believe plus 110 is valuable, because I do believe it goes to a decision. And I think that should be at minus 125, minus 130 prop. But it isn't for some reason. Plus 110 is very solid. Second fight of the night we look at is going to be Samuelsberger and Jorge Medic. I don't like the money line. I'll say that right now. For the props, over 1.5 rounds is interesting, because that's where I think after 1.5 rounds is where I actually expect this finish between Matthew Samuelsberger, Jorge Medic. I don't think Samuelsberger is... I mean, he does have those 2 really, really early knockout wins on Martin Sano and on Jason Witt. But I think here, it's going to be one of those second round knockouts. Like we saw in the Scott Noble fight earlier on in his career, was able to lose early on and then come back in round number 2 later on in that fight. Kind of what I'm expecting here is him to come back in round number 2 or in round number 3. I know he got submitted by Jalen Turner. Samuelsberger's not as good as Jalen Turner, in my opinion. Even his last win on Omar Morales went across that over 1.5 threshold. So I would say if there's a way you can do it on DraftKings, I like that they allow you to do it. I would do Matthew Samuelsberger and the over 1.5 rounds for the same game parlay. I think that'd be very, very solid. Another one. Where's the one that says fight ends by KO TKO? I do like those ones a lot, because Samuelsberger plus 150 to win by TKO. I'm not seeing it right now, but you guys know, there it is. Minus 250 could be a parlay piece. Potentially, if you don't want to be one of those guys saying fight goes to a decision at minus 250. Oh, God, that's the same thing? Really? Really? Oh, it's KO TKO or submission. Did I read it wrong? I did. My bad. Well, if you have it on your bookie where it's fight ends by KO, specifically by KO, and if you can get that anywhere around that like minus 150 range, I believe that's very, very solid. So that, as well as Matthew Samuelsberger to win and the over 1.5 round, I believe that would definitely be plus money. That's what I think about that one right there. CJ Vergara, Vinicius Salvador in the UFC's flyweight division. This one's simple to me. I don't think CJ Vergara is going to go out there and get finished. If you look at Salvador to win inside the distance, it is at minus 275 that he does not get that finish. I don't think CJ gets the finish either. I think this one's going to be a hard-fought 3-round war in the flyweight division. I think that's a 50-50 to go all the way. Plus 155, you can already see money coming in on that. Fight goes to a decision. Is looking very, very juicy in my opinion. And there is money coming in on Vinicius Salvador. Not a whole lot, but I expect Carlos Vergara to be minus 120, minus 130 by fight night, which could make for some decent money line odds. Jake Matthews taking on Darius Flowers. Money line is getting better at minus 233. I still personally wouldn't take a stab on it at the moment. Matthews by TKO is very interesting because they actually think he's more likely to get a submission in this fight rather than a TKO win, considering they're probably looking at this, that he gets submitted a lot. Ryan Leninger, round 2, guillotine choke submission loss. He had the key lock submission loss by a guy with like 10 losses, a rear naked choke loss, an armbar submission loss, and so on and so forth. A lot of submission losses on his record. I don't know. I think he gets knocked out here. I think he gets knocked out in those later rounds here in this fight. Jake Matthews came off a really, really nice KO TKO win on Andre Fialho. He had a submission on Shinsho Anzai, a rear naked on Johnny Case and things like that. I don't know. I just don't feel like there's enough value on just a straight up inside the distance prop. I don't think there's enough there. Minus 125 isn't enough for me. So if you're going to bet this fight, the only thing I would do would be the value play to have Matthews by TKO at 3-1 odds. A little sprinkle on that one would not hurt. Because I actually think he gets a TKO. I'm not confident, but I think plus 300 via minus 125 for just inside the distance. There's some good value on that. Roman Kopylov, Claudio Ribeiro. In the UFC's middleweight division, I do believe this goes over 1.5, but it's going to be very, very risky to hit that over 1.5. One of the bets that I did weirdly like for a second was actually Ribeiro not to win inside the distance. I know he's got very good finishing ability coming off, knocking out Joseph Holmes, beating Ivan Valenzuela, however you say that one. Roman Kopylov does not get TKO'd. He's got a very, very good chin. In my opinion, I do believe he comes back to win in those later rounds by TKO. So the bet that I would say is probably the best would be one of those where you do Kopylov wins in round number 2 by TKO and do Kopylov by round 3 TKO. You got plus 600 for the round 3 TKO and plus 450 for the round 2 TKO. So if you kind of put those ones together, on some of the bookies they allow you to do to win in round number 2 or round number 3, I'd assume probably plus 200 would be the odds there. I think that'd be the bet to make. Round 2 or round 3, TKO for Roman Kopylov. Derek Lewis and Marcos Rogerio de Lima, you already know those underdog odds. Really, really good. Derek Lewis at plus 200 when I thought the odds that they had originally. Minus 115, maybe even having Derek as a very, very slight underdog made sense to me. That made sense to me. But for him to be plus 200 is crazy. Is absolutely crazy. In the UFC's heavyweight division, I would sprinkle on that one. Derek Lewis money line is definitely worth a sprinkle. And as well, something that's worth a sprinkle is Derek Lewis to win by a decision. This is what I've been thinking about for a while. But my man Marcos Rogerio de Lima has been knocked out one time. You want to guess when that one knockout loss was? Carlos Eduardo, 11 years ago. Man has been submitted in every other loss except for that decision on Blachowicz. This man does not get knocked out. I know Derek might be the one to do it, but if you got one of those guys and you got Derek Lewis coming off a few decisions in the UFC, I mean, most people obviously know him for his knockout wins, but man got a decision win 2 in a row over Blachowicz and Ilir Latifi, both guys known for their chins, just like Marcos Rogerio de Lima, and he's got a decision win on Francis Ngannou. There's a chance he goes out there and gets a decision here. I'm just saying. Plus 1,400 for something that's actually decently likely here. That's a sprinkle. That's a sprinkle. Again, underdog or pass, you're not at all. I mean, if you're betting minus 230, Marcos Rogerio de Lima, that is insane. That is absolutely crazy. That is just, what are you doing? But if you're betting that underdog plus 200, that's solid. If you want to bet that goes to a decision and Derek Lewis by decision, there's a very good shot that happens. Those would be my suggestions indeed. Trevin Giles, Gabriel Bonfim. Parlay piece for Gabriel Bonfim. Over 1.5, under 1.5. I'm not really liking any of that one. I don't think minus 325 is exemplary of this fight. I'd have it like minus 180, minus 190. For fight ends inside the distance. Obviously, if you heard my prediction, it was Bonfim by a submission in round number 1. And that'd be it. Literally plus 150, Bonfim by submission, or just don't bet the fight at all, or do the parlay piece. That's it. Gabriel Bonfim could be a good parlay piece. For Kevin Holland, his money line is getting better and better and better by the day. I would do Kevin Holland by a submission or decision. I don't think he's going to go out there and knock out Michael Chiesa. Every time Chiesa gets hurt, he goes in on a takedown and he ends up getting submitted by most guys he fights. Kevin Holland has a good Doris choke, a good anaconda type of thing. And that's what Michael Chiesa gets finished by a lot inside of the UFC. I'd rather do Kevin Holland by a submission or a decision for some decent odds on that one. I don't think they show them right here. They show just regular old submission. And each of the rounds type of thing. But I know on DraftKings they have it where you can bet him to win by submission or a decision in the same bet for plus money. So that is what I would do. Or wait for better money line. You could just wait for like minus 120 on Kevin Holland because there is definitely some money coming in on Michael Chiesa there. Which is a good fight. Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green in the UFC's lightweight division. I'll tell you right now, underdog or pass. Do not parlay Bobby Green. Tony Ferguson is actually looking in good shape coming into this fight. I think he looks good. He looks fit. He looks shrunken down. He's training a lot. He's running. He's doing cardio. He's hitting the bag. He's sparring. He's doing all the things he should. And Bobby Green's chin has been hurt a lot recently. The Jared Gordon fight was hurt a little bit. In his fight with Drew Dober, was definitely hurt. And then he got ground and pounded to oblivion by Islam Makhachev. He's taken a lot of damage recently. There's obviously that outcome of maybe a Ferguson cutting him open, getting a doctor stoppage. There's a submission from Ferguson. There's a lot of ways to win for Ferguson in this fight. Plus 400 or plus 300. Yeah, it is definitely worth a sprinkle in my opinion. I don't believe Ferguson's going to go out there and finish Bobby because Bobby doesn't really ever get submitted very, very often, and he's getting TKO'd by powerful guys. Tony's really not that powerful of a guy, and Bobby Green is not a KO artist himself. He has like 0 submission wins on his record. I don't believe he'll finish Tony Ferguson in this fight. And if you're looking at the odds, minus 110 on Unibet to go to a decision. That's 50-50 on it to go to a decision to not. I am 2/3 confident this fight goes to a decision, so you can do that one. You can do the underdog bet on specifically Tony Ferguson. You could also go crazy with it and do Tony Ferguson by a decision, because I don't, or Tony Ferguson by knockout. I don't think he'll submit Bobby Green, but there's a chance he gets a doctor stoppage. You never know. With a plus 1100 right there, it is very, very possible. But I do like fight goes to a decision, as well as Tony Ferguson's money line at very good underdog odds. Stephen Thompson, Michel Pereira. You got the money line on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That is very, very solid, in my opinion. And you know where I was going to go with this. We're going to scroll. And we're going to scroll Thompson by decision at plus 165, plus 163. Money line Stephen Wonderboy Thompson or Stephen Wonderboy Thompson by a decision. You could also do one of those where fight ends by KO, TKO, or a decision specifically, because Thompson is not submitting Michel, and Michel is not submitting Thompson. If Gilbert Burns isn't able to, this fight is going to be a KO, or a TKO, or a decision. I think decision, so Stephen Wonderboy Thompson with the money line, or by a decision, makes some sense. Alex Pereira, Jan Blachowicz in the light heavyweight division. The money line, you're not getting much for it anymore. I would have said Alex Pereira's money line was looking good. It was earlier on in the week. Now it's a 50-50 fight, and you're just not getting good odds on Alex Pereira. But I do believe there will be a finish here. I don't believe this fight enters round number 3. I believe either a round 1, round 2 knockout from Alex Pereira or a round 1, round 2 Jan Blachowicz submission. So yeah, I would say under 2.5 rounds in a parlay isn't actually that bad. Minus 179, minus 180 range is not bad at all, in my opinion. Fight ends in round 1 or round 2. You can do that one as well at minus 155. Both are pretty much the same. Again, the money line really is not there. I wouldn't do any scorecards, no action, because Jan is very, very likely to submit Alex Pereira in this fight. So the under 2.5, the fight ends in round 1 or round 2. Both look pretty good, in my opinion. Poirier Gaethje, we're not money lining Dustin Poirier. I'll tell you that right now. Over 2.5 rounds is where they kind of draw the line and say it's a 50-50 to go past midway points. I think it goes all the way. I think this is going to be an absolute barn burner. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, Bert, come on. You're crazy. You're stupid. What do you think? Gaethje versus Poirier will go to a decision? Yeah, I had Gaethje by decision against Michael Chandler. I do believe this one goes all the way. Plus 425. Dustin the Diamond Poirier by a decision would be one of my bets. Poirier scorecards, no action. I'm not liking that, but you could do Gaethje not to win inside the distance at minus 250, which is honestly not that bad. It is honestly not that bad. If anyone's going to get the finish, I do expect it to be Poirier. And just to go out there and say not Gaethje by finish, when Gaethje's been playing a much more technical approach recently, and the only ways Poirier's been finished has been by submission. Man does not get knocked out recently in any of his fights. I do believe this one goes all the way. That minus 250, Gaethje not by finish. I think that's pretty solid. And then, obviously, Poirier by a decision. That is the betting breakdown. UFC 291. Very solid card. Like and subscribe. Predictions down below. Bets down below. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one.